Good morning students. In our previous class we learnt about three experiments that carried out with candle, and from those experiments we learned that the hot air becomes lighter and rises up. Hot air becomes lighter and rises up, Okay students, we learned that the air moves from land to sea and from sea to land. This already we have learnt in our previous topic students. During noon time, the surface of the land gets heat up faster. The air also will get heat up. Hot air becomes lighter and rises away. Then the cold air from the sea comes and occupies that place. During evening time, the land cools very faster, but the sea takes time to cool, so that the air on the surface of the sea is hotter and becomes lighter and rises up. Then the cold air from the land occupy the place. So in that way, the air moves from land to sea and sea to land. This causes air currents. Okay students, did you understand? Okay, let us move to the next topic from our lesson, that is evaporation. Okay, look here students, look at page number 165 from your science textbook. Page 165. What is the name of our topic students? Evaporation. What is the name of our topic? Evaporation. Okay. So when water is heated, first the water gets heat up, and then afterwards if you look carefully, the water vapor starts escaping from the beaker, that we call as water vapor. The process of changing, the process of water vapor changes into vapor is called evaporation. What is evaporation students? Evaporation means the process of changes, the process of water changes into vapor is called as evaporation. Okay students, when evaporation goes on, you will observe the amount of water get reduced in the beaker. Where this water is going students? The water is changing into vapor. And this process is called evaporation. Did you understand students? What is evaporation? The process of water changes into vapor is called evaporation. This evaporation goes on continuously in the nature. So the water from the lakes, rivers, seas, oceans goes on changes from water to the vapor state because of the sun's heat. Okay students, what is meant by evaporation? The process of water changes into vapor is called as evaporation. In the nature, this evaporation takes place continuously. The water from the rivers, lakes, seas, wells evaporates because of the sun's heat, because of the sun's heat. Okay students, now look at that conditions that help rapid evaporation. Conditions look at the next topic students. Conditions that help rapid evaporation. So first one is temperature. Look students, take two beakers. Of same length and width. Pour the same amount of water in both the beakers. Keep the first beaker in the sunlight where there is sufficient amount of sunlight is there. You just go and keep the first beaker there. And in the second beaker, you keep it inside your house. Okay students. So what is your observation after 2 to 3 hours? You will observe that the water, the beaker which is present in the sunlight, you will observe the amount of water gets reduced. But in the beaker which was kept inside the house, the evaporation takes place very less. And you will not see any decrease in the level of water. So by looking at both the levels of the water present in two dishes, you can say that evaporation has taken fast in the first dish because it was kept outside where there is sufficient amount of sunlight. The second beaker was kept inside the house because of lack of temperature. The evaporation does not take place here. This we will observe in our day-to-day life students. So whenever your mother washed the clothes, after washing the clothes, she will keep the clothes on the terrace. Why? Because there is a sufficient amount of temperature will be present. So the clothes dry up faster. But if you keep the same clothes inside the house, it takes a lot of time to get dry up as there is no sufficient amount of temperature present inside the house. Did you understand students? Look at the textbook students. When we put clothes to dry, we see that on a sunny day they dry up faster. This proves that evaporation becomes faster when the temperature is higher. Evaporation is faster when there is high temperature. I hope you understood this activity. Did you understand, Amma? We have taken two beakers. A two beakers lo kuda water fill chesam. ఒక బీకర్ ఏమో మనం ఎండలో పెట్టాం, ఇంకో బీకర్ ఏమో లోపల తీసుకెళ్ళి ఇంట్లో పెట్టాం చల్లగా ఉండే ప్లేస్లో. సో ఏ ప్లేస్లో ఇవాపరేషన్ త్వరగా జరుగుద్దమ్మా? యూ విల్ అబ్జర్వ్, మనం ఏ బీకర్ అయితే ఎండలో పెట్టామో ఆ బీకర్లో మీకు వాటర్ లెవెల్ రెడ్యూస్ అవుతుంది. అంటే ఇవాపరేషన్ అనేది ఆ బీకర్లో చాలా ఫాస్ట్గా జరుగుతుంది. సో మనం చూడండి, బట్టలు ఆరేసేటప్పుడు కూడా బాగా సన్నీ డే, బాగా ఎండగా ఉన్న రోజు మన బట్టలు చాలా త్వరగా ఆరిపోతాయి. అదే రైనీగా ఉన్నా లేకపోతే క్లౌడీగా ఉన్నా మనం బట్టలు ఆరేస్తే టైం పడుతుంది కదా ఆరడానికి. కాబట్టి దీన్ని బట్టి మనం ఏం చెప్పొచ్చు? వీ కెన్ సే దట్ ద ఇవాపరేషన్ ఈజ్ ఫాస్టర్ వెన్ దెర్ ఈజ్ హై టెంపరేచర్. బాగా వేడిగా ఉన్నప్పుడు ఇవాపరేషన్ చాలా త్వరగా జరుగుతుంది. ఓకేనా? సో ఇవాపరేషన్ ఈజ్ ఫాస్టర్ వెన్ ద టెంపరేచర్ ఈజ్ హై. వెన్ ద టెంపరేచర్ ఈజ్ high. Let us go to the next activity. So let us go to the next activity, students. Wind. Okay, students. How wind affects the evaporation? You see, already we know what is wind, students. Moving air is called wind. What is wind? Moving air is called wind. Okay. Take two dishes, students, which has more surface area. Take two dishes like this and pour water in the two dishes. Pour water in the two dishes. So keep one dish under the fan. Keep one dish under the fan. Keep the second dish where there is no fan. Where there is no fan. Okay, students, did you understand? Take two dishes. Fill the two dishes with the water. Keep the first dish under the fan. And second dish somewhere away from the fan. And after some time, just observe the quantity of water. So what is your observation is, the amount of water gets reduced in the beaker which was kept under the fan, and the amount of water remains constant in the beaker which was kept away from the fan. So what you can conclude from these activities, students? From this activity you can conclude that wind also affects evaporation. So during the windy day, our clothes dry up faster than the normal day. Isn't it or not, students? Yes. So when there is wind, evaporation becomes faster. When there is no wind, evaporation becomes slower. Okay, students, did you understand? Okay. Exposed surface. Next one is exposed surface. Okay, students, here also you take two dishes. One dish is like this, whose surface area is less, and one dish like this, whose surface area is more. Take same amount of water in each two dishes. So keep them both at one place outside where there is sufficient amount of sunlight. Just tell me your observation, students, after 2 to 3 hours. What is your observation after 2 to 3 hours? Yes. As if the surface area of this beaker is more, you will observe the evaporation takes faster. As if the surface area of this beaker is more, you will observe the evaporation is more. As if the surface area of this beaker is less, the evaporation is also less. Did you understand? So what we can conclude from this activity? We can conclude that the surface area also affects evaporation. More surface area, more evaporation. Less surface area, less evaporation. Did you understand? Students? The cup surface area is very less, but this beaker surface area is more. So if the surface area is more, evaporation is more. If the surface area is less, evaporation is also less. Okay, students? What is meant by evaporation, students? The process of changing of water into water vapor is called as evaporation. So the evaporation takes place continuously from the seas, oceans, lakes. Always the water gets evaporates and forms the clouds. This already we have learnt in our previous classes. And what are the conditions that help rapid evaporation? So up to now we have learnt 3 conditions, students. What are they? If temperature is more, evaporation is also more. Isn't it or not, student? Temperature ఎక్కువగా ఉంటే evaporation చాలా faster గా ఉంటుంది. If temperature is less, evaporation is also less. Second one, what is the second one we have learnt? wind. If there is more wind, what is more, students? Evaporation is more. If wind is less, evaporation is also less. Next one is surface area. If surface area is more, evaporation is more. If surface area is less, evaporation is less. That is what we have learnt in today's class, students. What are the factors that affect evaporation? Temperature, wind and surface area. Temperature, wind and surface area. Okay, students? Let us move to the next topic. We will discuss the next topic in our next class. So with this, I wanted to end today's class. Let me give you the home task. So you have page number 164 is there. Page number 164. You have 3 experiments. Read and write that experiments one time. This is your home task, students. Page number 164. You have 3 experiments. Read these 3 experiments and write one time. Okay, students? Thank you so much.